Right, today's special guest has many strings to his bow. Not only is he a versatile, multi-talented performer, he's also a comic, a singer, a presenter, and is currently riding high as one of the top talent judges on BBC One's Saturday night primetime TV show All Together Now. Some of you might know him as Paul L. Martin. Most of you will know him as Paulus. So without further ado, it's now time to invite Paulus onto my Drive Time show. Good afternoon, Paulus. Thank you for speaking to us today.
No problem. Nice to be here.
Welcome to the show. Now, Paulus, is that your real name or is that the name of your act?
Paulus is, I guess, my alter ego. I've been being called Paulus by friends since I was about 13, actually, and I don't know why. It was very strange, but it sort of spread out across my life to various mates without me meaning it to, or ever trying to have it, become a nickname. And then I was reading a book a couple of years ago about the history of music hall. And I learned that there was a very famous French music hall performer in the 1800s who used to work a lot in England, and his name was Paulus. And at that time, a couple of years ago, when I was reading the book, I was thinking of having a bit of a rebrand of what I looked like and what I did. And I thought, it's fate. That is what I shall be called.
Wonderful. And that stuck to you to this very day.
It has indeed, yeah.
And any inspiration from the Romans? Because I did look into the name Paulus. It's got a bit of a Latin-Roman kind of a link to it.
Oh, does it? I didn't know that. No, I am aware that... I think Friedrich Paulus was the last person to be in charge of the Nazi Party during the Second World War, the Nazi regime. So, obviously in great company there. But I didn't know about the Roman connection, no.
Wonderful. And you're currently, of course, riding high as a top TV judge on All Together Now. What has the reaction from the general public been like?
Well, I'm a bit different in series 2 than I was in the first one. I'm taking myself perhaps a little less seriously, although I'm judging the acts in the same way. So if people were a little like, who the heck is that about me on series 1, I think that there's more reason to go. Oh, all right, let's let's have a laugh with him. Yeah.
So you're bringing something different to the table this time round on the show.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a very surreal program to be on, and obviously, as you and viewers will know, there's 100 very big personalities in the judging panel alone, and that's before you've even got to the contestants or the live studio audience. So there's a heck of a lot going on, and I'm perversely quite shy and private, and it took me a long time to get used to what was going on and to warm up, I think, if I'm really honest.
I have to ask, what is Jerry Horner like in real life?
Well, Jerry's very, very friendly with all of us. And I'm obviously a world-class superstar. And so she's really busy, not just with the programme, but with the Spice Girls tour and everything else she's got coming up. So there's lots of things that I'm sure she'd like to be doing with us that she just hasn't got the time to do. But whenever she's there and whenever we're filming with her, she's really warm and she's very, very nice to talk to.
Great. And I looked at her discography, actually. She had quite a successful solo career. I think she had 4 number 1s in a row.
Yeah, I don't think people recognise that about her, but it's very true. Yeah, it wasn't sort of, I think people can remember "Look at Me." That was one of hers, wasn't it, Richard? I think, and then people sort of forget everything else. Yeah. But there was a little more than that to it.
And is the show live or is it pre-recorded?
It's pre-recorded, so we filmed the whole thing in September last year, but obviously it's to a live studio audience.
I see. Yeah. And, of course, we missed you last week due to the football, but you'll be gracing our screens this Saturday at 7:20 p.m. What more is there to look forward to?
Oh God, there's so many wonderful acts coming up. It continues to be vibrant, colourful, and really unpredictable because you just never know who's going to come out, and you never know how any of the 100 are going to react to them. So there's lots of fun in store.
Sure. And there's also a cash prize of £50,000 to the winner. That's not bad at all, is it?
Yeah, that's right. That's once we get to the sixth episode. So Saturday will be the third episode,
Yep.
and the sixth episode's the final. So the top two places
Yep.
from each of the previous five episodes will battle it out for
Yep.
50 grand.
Oh, wow. And do you reckon being honest is the best policy in the music business? Or can you give constructive criticism to help someone improve their career that way?
I don't think the two things are mutually exclusive. I think
Mm.
you can be honest and be constructive at
Mm.
the same time. And very, very, if you watch the program carefully, people will know that I don't ever attack any
Mm.
performer's personality, and I'm never unkind, although I am rather blunt
Mm-hmm.
with my feedback sometimes. And I think there's a very big
Yeah.
difference.
Wonderful. And what advice would you give someone who is young, especially to parents who have like someone who's quite talented, has a raw talent but to sing, but does suffer from nerves, stage fright? What advice could you give the parents to help their, child, progress with their musical career?
I have a series of little videos which are advice for performers,
Mm-hmm.
which I post periodically on Instagram and Twitter. And I was talking about something in particular the other day, which your question reminds me of. I think it's important for young people in the age of everybody, making film in their bedroom and then sharing their content online. I think it's still important to get out there in front of audiences, whether that be an audience of 10 or 20 or 100. And that means sort of, schlepping about and doing stuff. Initially, unfortunately, it means doing stuff for free, going to open mic nights or performing for free, maybe for a charity event or something for your local community. It's a contentious issue. Lots of people don't agree with me on this, but it's how you learn, and it's the stomping ground, if you will. And that's, I think, the best thing to do. Otherwise, you can suddenly go from sitting in your bedroom playing your guitar and singing to being in front of the 100, for example, and that's going to be a shock.
Yeah. So good advice there. So go out there and...
There's nothing like the reaction of a live audience, good or bad one. You'll learn something.
So we talked about All Together now, and a little about the music. And I've read you a bit of a tea connoisseur.
Tea, yeah, I love tea. I think it's my fuel, actually, if I'm honest.
Brilliant. I have to ask, do you put the milk before the tea or after?
I do. I put the milk in first. And for many, many years, I thought that the Queen did that too. And I was told the other day that that's not true. And my mind has been blown by this information, because I spent 40 years going, but the Queen puts the milk in first too, like that was justification. And apparently it's not true. But I found out that the reason you're supposed to put the milk in first is if you're using bone china, it's to prevent it from cracking, because the milk has sort of cooled the liquid that's about to hit the cup. That's apparently where that comes from.
Well, you learn something new every day.
I just did it because the Queen did, I thought.
And if you had to choose a singer or a band or an artist at a concert which would make you stand on your feet all night, who would it be?
I've seen Alison Moyet live more than any other performer, and I adore her. And even the music from her early years that she hates, I adore. And I'm a massive fan, and I would stand up all day, every day for Alison.
Good choice. I loved Yazoo, Yazoo were brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm shocked and appalled to be admitting that I'm old enough to know what you're talking about, but I am.
Well, then, what is your favourite decade in pop music, if you had to choose one?
Well, I was a teenager in the late 80s and early 90s. So I was watching Derry Girls on Channel 4 the other day, and their soundtrack is really 90s centric. And it took me quite a long time to realize, because I haven't seen the program before, and I just came in halfway through a series, and I suddenly went, oh, right, this is in the 90s. That's why they're playing all this 90s music. And every song was really cool and really just reminded me of, out with friends at pubs and clubs, and just, having hair and hope and all of those things I had back then.
It's funny with music because at the time you don't think music's good, but upon reflection, a couple of decades later, it does hold back a lot of memories, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is strange. I don't remember sitting around in the 90s thinking, God, this is a marvelous decade for music, but I think it is now.
So, of course, the 90s seems to be back with fashion amongst young kids at the moment. Were you ever into Britney or Christina, or out the two, which one would you prefer?
Well, I wasn't a fan of either. I wasn't a massive fan of either. I've always liked quite obscure performers, more obscure than that. But if I was to choose between Britney or Christina, I would choose Britney because I used to work at a drag cabaret bar, and I used to do a routine to Hit Me Baby One More Time, like in the school uniform with pigtails, the whole works. Yeah. And it was one of the very first routines I ever did as a drag queen at the world famous drag club, Madame Jojo's, back in the day. So for that reason, I would choose Britney.
Thank you very much for that one. And we're on to your music as well. You're also a performer yourself.
Yeah.
And is it cabaret your forte?
Yeah, I trained in musical theatre, and I very quickly went down the sort of slip road of into the cabaret world. And sometimes I perform in drag, and sometimes I perform out of drag. And these days, Paulus at a cabaret event is, I guess, a hybrid of man and woman. Not that I'm really interested in the labels man or woman, but yeah, I wear makeup and wear some. I don't look like I do on the telly. Let's put it that way.
It's all about having a good time at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, and adding some colour and some fun to.
And we're going to talk about your shows. You've got some shows in the South coming up. Where will they be at?
Oh, I've got so my show with my band, Paulus Beta, is at the very early April. I'm in Margate in Kent on the 4th of April. I'm in Waterman's Arts Centre in Brentford on the 5th of April. Then I zoom down to Cardiff for one night at the Wales Millennium Centre on the 6th of April, and then I'm back to London on Sunday the 7th of April at Toulouse-Lautrec Jazz Bar. And it's a one-man musical. Half the songs are covers, half are original songs by me and my writing partner, Jordan Clark, who's a tremendously talented composer.
Sure. And people can find you on Facebook. Is it Paulus Fabulous, where they can find?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook under Paulus Fabulous, or on Instagram I am Paulus Looks, and on Twitter I'm Paulus Says. But if you just search Paulus, I think I'll appear probably.
Lovely job.
As long as I'm not the one that's linked to the Nazi Party, you'll probably be fine.
You'll be fine. And we're also going to play one of your songs now called Tribe. And I must say, it's one of the most well-controlled and sincerest vocals I've seen in a while.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. I guess I wrote Tribe for people who maybe feel other. They might live in a small town and not really seem like the other people in that village or town, and don't feel like they fit in. And maybe they don't understand if they'll ever find a place where they fit in. And it was certainly my experience of growing up in Kent in the 80s. And there are a lot of people out there who feel dispossessed and different. And I guess it's a call out to all of them.
Wonderful. Well, so many thanks for speaking to me today, and we're going to get that track on any second now. And best of luck with the shows, and
thank you.
All the best, Paulus. Thanks once again. Bless
Thanks for having me, Danny.
Well, that's our Paulus on the Drive Time show here on XLR Radio Kent, and special guest there, Paulus. Catch him this Saturday night on All Together Now. Thank you very much there, Paulus.
Thanks for having me.